So dear students, in today's class we will discuss about the determination of order of a reaction. Remember, order of a reaction and rate constant of a reaction are the two important physical quantities that we require to understand the rate of a chemical reaction. So if you want to elucidate the mechanism of a chemical reaction by using the kinetic methods, then it is very important to know the information about the order of the reaction as well as rate constant of a reaction. So here I have listed some of the different experimental methods for finding the order of the reaction. These are not the only methods. If you follow any standard reference textbook of chemical kinetics, you can see other methods also, but we will restrict to these 6 methods. Okay, and remember that each method has its own advantage as well as disadvantage. So before carrying out an experiment to find out the order of the reaction, we have to keep two things in mind. First, we should have some previous knowledge, okay, background knowledge about the nature of the chemical reaction, such as whether the product may be acting as an inhibitor or the product may be acting as a catalyst or autocatalyst. Okay, so we should have some information about a background information about the nature of the chemical reaction, and also we should know what are the advantages and disadvantages of these ಮೆಥಡ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮೆಥಡ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆಂದರೆ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಸಚ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ ವಿಚ್ ಫಿಟ್ಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್. ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಇಫ್ ದಿ reaction, okay, by some means I know that it is following a integral order kinetics, then in such case it would be rather easy to apply the integration method. Or I have already determined the order of the reaction approximately by some other method. My main aim is to find out the accurate value of rate constant. Again I can use the integration method. Or I have a guess that, okay, one of the product may be interfering with the rate of the reaction. That product may be acting as an inhibitor or that may be acting as an autocatalyst. So in such case integration method or the integral method does not work. We have to go for the differential method. So while we are applying this method to a particular reaction, so the nature of the reaction as well as the advantage disadvantages of these methods, by taking both into consideration, we have to select the best method, okay, for a particular chemical reaction. Now let us discuss this method one by one, understand the principle and procedure, and also at the end understand what are the limitations as well as advantage of each method. So there are 6 methods. The differential method, as the name suggests, we are using the differential form of rate equation. You know, a rate equation of a chemical reaction can either be expressed in the form of a differential equation or it may be expressed in the integrated form. So this differential method uses the differential form of the rate equation, and it is a graphical approach. Okay, the method that we use there is a graphical approach. And a special case of this differential method is want of differential method. The principal equation that we use in both the methods are one and the same, but how these two methods differ is, in the first method the approach is a graphical one, whereas in the second method the approach is a numerical one. So that is the main difference between differential method, the general differential method, and a want of differential method. The third method is called as integral method or integration method. As the name suggests, we are using the integrated form of rate equation. The fourth method is the half-life method, where we are measuring the half-life of the reaction and trying to find out what is the order of the reaction. Remember, we in the previous class we have understood the relation between half-life and concentration of the reactant. So the relation between the half-life and the concentration of the reactant gives an important information about order of the reaction. The fourth method is a graphical method, okay, and the last method, it is not a separate method, it is a technique that can be applied for these 5 methods, and that technique or method is called as Ostwald's isolation method. Okay, so let us now discuss each of this method in detail. Let us first consider the differential method. So this differential method, as I already told you, it uses the differential form of rate equation. Okay, so if I have a reaction A giving product P, then the differential form of rate equation is the differential form of rate law or rate equation is velocity V, that is rate of the reaction, or velocity V of the reaction, is minus dC by dt, where C represents the concentration of the reactant. I will write it as Ca. Okay, concentration of the reactant A, minus sign specifying that it is the concentration term of the reactant. So rate of the reaction minus dCA by dt, generally we write it as rate constant of the reaction. So if K is the rate constant of the reaction, K into the concentration of the reactant A at that particular instant of time t into the order of the reaction 1. So this is the differential form of rate equation, and the two unknown quantities in this equation is the rate constant and the order of the reaction. So this is the differential form of rate equation. Now suppose if we take the logarithm of this equation, we get log of rate, log V, which can also be written as log of minus dCA divided by dt is equal to, if I apply the rule of logarithm, first I will apply the product rule, that is log of A into B is log A plus log B, and I will use another rule of logarithm, log of A to the power x is x into log A. So we get log K plus n into log Ca. So this is the equation that helps us in determining the order of the reaction. So these two equations are the principal or the very important equations in the differential method. So log of rate of the reaction, okay, which is nothing but log rate, is equal to log K plus n into log Ca. And how this equation is useful is, if you carefully look at this equation is of the form y is equal to C plus m into x, where y is log rate, c the intercept is log k, m the slope of this is n the order, and x is log Ca, and this y is equal to c plus mx represents a straight line with the slope m and intercept c. So what does this mean? That if I plot a graph of logarithm of rate of the reaction versus logarithm of the concentration of the reactant, one should obtain a straight line, and the slope of the straight line should be the order of the reaction, and the intercept should give the rate constant, log of rate constant of the reaction, from which we can find out the rate constant. So this equation we have to now use to find out the order as well as the rate constant of the reaction. Now the first question is, you have two variables here, y and x, that is log V and log Ca. How to find out their values, log V and log Ca? Okay, so the concentration of the reactant, okay, it is not a constant. When a reaction occurs, the concentration of the reactant decreases with respect to time. Okay, and as the concentration of the reactant decreases, the rate of the reaction also decreases. So how can we experimentally measure these two quantities, that is concentration and velocity? So if I know the values of concentration and velocity, then I can plot a graph of log V versus log Ca. So our first aim is to find out the values of concentration of the reactant at a different time intervals and the velocity of the reaction at a different time intervals. For that, what we do first is to plot a graph of rate of the reaction versus concentration of the reactant. So let us plot a graph of concentration Ca with respect to time. Concentration of the reactant can be easily determined. What is Ca represent? Ca is nothing but A minus X, that is the concentration of the reactant remaining unreacted at a time t, and you can find its value by different approach. Okay, in your degree classes you have studied acid hydrolysis of an ester. So in that particular experiment, at different intervals of time, you determined experimentally what is the concentration of acetic acid that is produced in the reaction. Okay, that is by volumetric titration. By using phenolphthalein indicator, you titrated the reaction mixture against sodium hydroxide, and at different intervals of time you can find out what is the concentration of the reactant that has not undergone reaction, or you can also find out what is the concentration of the product that is formed. So by volumetric titration you can find out what is the concentration of the reactant remaining unreacted, or the concentration of the product that is formed. Or what you can do is, if one of the reactant or product is having a color, and then what happens with the what happens to the color with the time? So as the reaction proceeds, the color intensity changes with respect to time. If the reactant is having a color, so the color of the solution fades, okay, with the time as the concentration of the reactant decreases. If the product is having a color, then the intensity of the color of the solution increases with the time, because the concentration of the product increases with the time. So in such case we can measure the absorbance of the solution at different time intervals, and that absorbance that we have recorded will be directly proportional to the concentration of the reactant or the concentration of the product, whichever is having the color. Or you can also use a different method. For example, if one of the reactant and one of the product is an electrolyte, that is, it has a capacity to carry current, conduct electricity. In such case we can measure what is the conductance of the solution, and if the reactant is a conductor, then the conductance of the solution should decrease with the time as the concentration of the reactant decreases. If the product is an electrolyte, or if it is a conductor of electricity, then in such case the conductance of the solution increases with the time, because the concentration of the product increases with time. So the conductance is a measure of the concentration of the reactant or the product. So either you can go for a volumetric titration approach, or measuring the absorbance, or measuring the conductance. It depends on the chemical reaction that we are carrying out. So experimentally, by any one of the method, you can find out what is the concentration of the reactant at different time intervals. Then we will plot a graph of concentration of the reactant versus time t, and we all know that the concentration of the reactant decreases with respect to time. The slope of this curve or plot is nothing but the rate of the reaction minus dCA by dt. So rate of the reaction is nothing but the slope of a plot of concentration versus time. This is already a known fact to you. Why? Because if you are plotting y versus x, you get some curve like this. Okay, the slope is nothing but dy by dx. In your mathematics class you have studied what is the geometrical meaning of dy by dx. Dy by dx is nothing but the slope of a graph of y versus x. So here you have plotted, instead of y versus x, you have plotted concentration versus time. So if I take the slope, that slope is nothing but the derivative dCA by dt. Here minus sign just to signify that the value of Ca decreases with respect to time. So how can we measure the rate of the reaction at a particular time interval? So we have to plot a graph of concentration of the reactant versus time, and find out the slope at a particular instant of time of our interest. Suppose if I want to find out what is the rate of this reaction at time t1, then okay, you have to calculate the slope of the graph at the time t1. Suppose if I am interested in finding out what is the rate of the reaction at time t2, then I have to find out what is the slope of the graph at time t2. Okay, so this is the method of determining the rate of the reaction experimentally. So we have the data now. we know what is the concentration of the reactant at different time interval, and also we know what are the velocities or the rate of the reaction at different time intervals. So with this data, now we can plot a graph of log of rate versus log of concentration. Now there are two methods in determining the velocity. Okay, yakandre if ee graph plot ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ at least I should have minimum 5 sets of data, 5 concentration and 5 rates. Okay, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ at least 5 values of y and 5 values of x ಇದ್ರೆ you can plot a graph accurately. ಸೊ ಈ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ 5 ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತೆ 5 ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಅಂದರೆ 5 ಟೈಮ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಗ್ರಾಫ್. Okay, now there are two approaches. Okay, there are two approaches. Why we have two approaches we will study, we will come to know later. Let us study those two approaches. What are those? Let us see. The first approach is, okay, the first approach is carry out a single run of the chemical reaction at a particular concentration. So we are carrying out a chemical reaction of which we are interested in determining the order at one particular concentration. So it is called as a single run because we are carrying out the reaction only at one particular concentration of the reactant. So it is called as a single run. And what we are doing is we are measuring the concentration of the reactant at a different time interval. Say for example 0th minute, 5th minute, 10th minute, 15th minute, 20th minute, 25 minute. So we are measuring experimentally what is the concentration of the reactant at a different time intervals. So then we plot a graph of concentration of the reactant versus time t, and you get a single curve. Okay, you get a single curve. Now what we do is we measure the rate of the reaction of this particular reaction at a different intervals of time. For example, I will take t1, okay, here, then I will take t2 here, I will take t3 here, I will take t4 here and t5 here. So what are the concentrations that I already know? Okay, so at the time t5 this is the concentration of the reactant, at the time t4 this is the concentration, at time t3 this is the concentration, at time t2 this is the concentration, and at time t1 this is the concentration. So you can write it as Ca1, Ca2, Ca3, Ca4, Ca5. So you can find out 5 different concentrations at time intervals t1, t2, t3, t4, t5 that you have already found out experimentally. Now what we will do is we will find out the slope of this graph at these time intervals. Okay, I will find out what is the slope here at the t1, what is the slope at time t2, what is the slope at time t3, what is the slope at time t4, and what is the slope at the time t5. And the values of this slope are nothing but the rate of the reaction. So I have 5 different data of rate of the reaction. They are nothing but the rate of the reaction at time interval t1, time interval t2, time interval t3, t4, t5. So this is nothing but, I will take it as c1, c2, c3, c4, c5. They are the concentrations of the reactants, and the slope that we have found out can be taken as dc1 by dt, that is the rate of the reaction at time interval t1. This is nothing but the rate of the reaction at time interval t2. Similarly dc3 by dt, dc4 by dt, and dC5 by dt. So from a single run, okay, that is an experiment carried out with only one concentration of the reactant, we have measured the rates at 5 different time intervals. So this is nothing but V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. Now we can plot a graph of log of rate versus log of concentration, because we have 5 different concentration values and 5 different rate values. Now we can plot a graph of log of rate versus log of CA, and as per equation 2, this plot should be a straight line with positive slope. If the order is positive, it will be a positive slope, it should be a straight line, and the intercept of this straight line should be equal to log k. So by calculating the intercept and taking its anti-log, one can find out the rate constant of the reaction, and the slope is nothing but the order of the reaction. The slope of this graph directly gives the order of the reaction. So from a single experiment, okay, that is a single run, we can find out what is the order of the reaction, and this order is represented as nt, that is order of the reaction with respect to time. Okay, this is called as nt is the order of the reaction with respect to time, because here we are measuring the rate of the reaction at different time intervals. That is why it is called as order of the reaction with respect to time. But this method has very important disadvantage. What is the disadvantage is that in some cases the rate of the reaction may be influenced by the product that is formed in the reaction. Okay, the product may act as an inhibitor, that is it may slow down the rate of the reaction, or it may act as an autocatalytic one. Okay, it may catalyze the rate of the reaction, so it may act as an auto catalyst. And we all know that with the time, okay, the concentration of the product increases, and as the concentration of the product increases, the influence of the product on the rate also increases. Suppose if the product is also influencing the rate, in such cases with the time, as the concentration of product increases, its influence also increases. So with the time, okay, if we are measuring the order of the reaction, actually the experimentally determined order will vary drastically from the true order of the reaction. So it is always advisable to measure the order of the reaction at the very beginning of the reaction. Yakandre at the very beginning of the reaction, the concentration of the product will be very less, so the interference of this product into the chemical reaction will also be very less. So the best option is to measure the rate of the reaction at the beginning of the reaction. That is, we have to measure what is called as initial rate of the reaction. What do you mean by initial rate of the reaction? The rate of the reaction measured at t almost equal to 0. ಯಾಕೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರೇಟ್ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಯಾಕಂದರೆ at a time t almost equal to 0, concentration of product will be very less, and therefore ಆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಇಂಟರ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ, in such cases we can avoid such interference when time is very much close to 0. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಆವಾಗ concentration of product ತುಂಬ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Suppose if the product is not interfering, then you can use this method, no problem. But before doing the reaction, we don't know, because it is an unknown reaction, we don't know whether the product is influencing the rate or not. So it is always advisable to measure the rate of the reaction at the beginning. So how to measure the rate at the beginning? And that method is nothing but the second approach of differential method, which is also called as method of initial rates. Why it is called as method of initial rates? Because we are measuring the initial rate of the reaction. The second approach, which is a more appropriate approach, when it becomes appropriate if the product is influencing the rate of the reaction. Okay, and that approach is also called as initial rate approach, because we are measuring the initial rate of the reaction. So the main difference between these two approaches, in this first approach we carried out the reaction in a single run, that is only in one particular concentration. Now what we are doing is we are carrying out the same chemical reaction 5 times, but with a different initial concentration. Say for example C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. I take 5 different initial concentration of the reactant and carry out the same reaction under the same reaction conditions. So how many runs we are carrying out? We are carrying out 5 different runs, and the difference between these 5 runs is the concentration, initial concentration of the reactants are different. So here we are carrying out different, okay, at least 5, okay, we are carrying out at 5 or 4, okay, so we are carrying out different runs of the reaction, that is reaction at 5 different initial concentrations of the reactant, and in each reaction, that is in each run, okay, in each of the run we measure only one rate, that is the initial rate, that is at time almost equal to 0. So here from a single run, from a single curve, we measured the rates at 5 different time intervals, but here from each run we are only measuring one rate, and that rate is the initial rate of the reaction. So what we do is, again you plot a graph of concentration of the reactant versus time t, but now we don't have a single curve, we have 5 different curves, because the reaction is carried out in 5 different runs with 5 different concentrations. So we have one curve for the reaction carried out with initial concentration C1. You have one more curve for the reaction carried out with initial concentration C2. Similarly, you have C3, C4, C5, C3, C4, C5. Okay, so you have 5 different graphs, each graph for one particular run. But from each graph we are measuring only one rate of the reaction, that is we are measuring the rate at the very beginning. We are calculating the slope of the graph at time t almost equal to 0. So this is nothing but the velocity v1 for the first run. Similarly, this is v2, this is v3, this is v4, and this is v5. These are nothing but the initial rates of the reaction. So from 5 different runs, okay, we are finding out what is the initial rate of the reaction, and we know what are the initial concentrations. Okay, so we have 5 different data, initial rate and the corresponding initial concentration. So now we can plot again a graph of log of v versus log of c. So here now v represents the initial rate, c represents the initial rate, initial concentration of the reactant, and according to equation 2, this again should be a straight line. The intercept of this straight line will be log k, and by taking anti-log we can find out the rate constant, and the slope of this graph is the order of the reaction, which is called as NC, that is NC is the order with respect to concentration, order of the reaction with respect to concentration. It does not depend on time, because we have measured all the rates at t almost equal to 0 at the same time. Okay, at the same time for all the 5 runs. So this NC value does not depend on The time, it depends on the concentration. So this is called as order of the reaction with respect to concentration, which is also called as true order. Okay, NC is called as the true order of the reaction, because when we are finding out the value of the true order of the reaction, the influence of the product or any other intermediate species is very less. So this is the true order of the reaction. Now suppose if for a reaction NC is equal to NT, that is the true order of the reaction is same as the order of the reaction with respect to time. What does it indicate? It indicates that, it clearly indicates that none of the product or none of the intermediate species is influencing the rate of the reaction. So there is neither the case of an inhibition nor the case of autocatalysis if NC is equal to NT. But if NC differs from NT, it clearly suggests that the reaction is either inhibited or the reaction involves an autocatalysis. Okay, say for example, if NC is equal to 1.5, true order of the reaction is 1.5, and NT is equal to 2. NT is equal to 2. ಏನಿದ್ರ ಅರ್ಥ, ನಾವು ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, 1.5 ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಮೆಜರಿಂಗ್ 2. ಅಂದರೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್ much faster than expected with respect to concentration of the reactant. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, with the time concentration of the reactant ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ರೇಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಪೀಡಾಗಿ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಇಫ್ ದಿ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್, rate decreases gradually. If the reaction is second order, then the rate of the reaction decreases much faster compared to first order. So suppose if NC is equal to 1.5, true order of the reaction is 1.5, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೇಟ್ ಯಾವ ತರ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ it should have decreased as 1.5 power. Okay, but the true order of the reaction is, the order of the reaction with respect to T is 2. ಅಂದರೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನು ಒಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂದರೆ, rate of the reaction is decreasing as if it is behaving as a second order reaction, but the true order is 1.5. so rate ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಲೋ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ, ಬಟ್ ಅದು ರ್ಯಾಪಿಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಆಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ one of the products should be acting as an inhibitor. So if NC is less than NT, it is the indication of the inhibition in the reaction. On the other hand, say for example NC is equal to 2, NT is equal to 1. So you are expecting the rate of the reaction to decrease much rapidly as a second order with respect to concentration of the reactant, but it is observed that the rate of the reaction is decreasing much slowly. It is decreasing much slowly, and this clearly suggests that it is a phenomenon of autocatalysis. So if NC is greater than NT, it is the case of autocatalysis. So the rate of the reaction, okay, at different intervals second order ತರ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ಅದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ತರ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. that clearly indicates that this is a case of autocatalysis. ಅಂದರೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ, because of autocatalysis it has almost reached completion. So at the end the rate of the reaction decreases very slowly with respect to concentration. ಓಕೆ, 50th ಸೆಕೆಂಡಿಗೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮುಗಿಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಬಟ್ 15ನೇ ಸೆಕೆಂಡಿಗೆ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮುಗಿದಿದೆ. ಸೊ 15ನೇ ಸೆಕೆಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ರೇಟ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಷನಿಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಅದು ನಮಗೆ 50 ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 15 ಸೆಕೆಂಡಿಗೆ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ. 50th ಸೆಕೆಂಡಿನ ಡೇಟಾ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಟ್ 15th ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್. ಸೊ we are assuming that we are measuring the correct rate at 15th second, but actually we are measuring the rate that should have been at the 50th second. So that clearly indicates that there is an autocatalysis. So if NC is equal to NT, there is no inhibition or no autocatalysis. But if they are different from each other, if the two values are different, then it clearly indicates that there is either inhibition or autocatalysis. The advantage of this reaction is that it is of course a very accurate reaction. Its advantage is you can simultaneously determine from a single experiment both the order of the reaction as well as rate constant, because from this graph, from the slope we can find out order, from the intercept we can find out the rate constant of the reaction. The second advantage of this reaction is this method is applicable, okay, irrespective of whether the order of the reaction is an integer or a fraction. Okay, if we don't have any prior information about the order, whether the order is integer or fraction, even if we don't know the what may be the expected value of order, still we can use this method, because this method is applicable both for a fractional ordered or the integral ordered reaction. The third advantage is these two approach. Okay, so by comparing the values of NC and NT, we can get an idea about the mechanism of the reaction. If NC is equal to NT, we can conclude that there is no inhibition or autocatalysis. If NC is different from NT, it is a suggestion of either autocatalysis or inhibition. So you can get some idea about the mechanism of the reaction. A slight modification and a simplified version of this method is the second method, called as the want of method, differential method. So here we have used a series of graph for finding out the order. In the want of differential method, is we are not using any sort of graph, it is a purely mathematical or numerical approach. So now let us study the second method for determination of the order, that is the want of differential method. So the second method is the want of differential method. Again we are using the differential form of rate equation. So if we have a reaction A giving product, okay, rate constant of the reaction is K. Suppose if I carry out the same reaction at two different concentrations, okay, this is the reaction carried out at concentration C1 of the reactant. So the second run is the experimental condition, okay, where I mentioned C2 is the initial concentration of the reactant now. So the other conditions are same, only initial concentration of the reactants are different. And remember, the rate constant of both the reactions are one and the same, because rate constant is a constant, it does not vary with the concentration of the reactant. So we have the same reaction carried out with the different initial concentration C1 and C2. We know that the rate of the reaction, rate in the differential form, is minus dC by dt is equal to K into C to the power n. Okay, rate of the reaction, where C represents the concentration of the reactant, is equal to rate constant of the reaction into reactant concentration to the power n, that is the order of the reaction. Or if I take the log on both the sides, we get log of minus dC by dt is equal to log K plus n into log C. Now let us apply equation 2 to these two conditions. Okay, so if I apply equation 2 for the first run, I can write it as log of minus dC1 by dt, where minus dC1 by dt is the rate of the reaction at concentration C1. And generally here we measure again the initial rate, okay, is equal to log K plus n into log C1. Okay, and remember this K and n does not vary with the concentration. Similarly, if I apply 2 to the second reaction, that is the second run, you get minus log of minus dC by dC2 divided by dt, that is the initial rate of the second reaction carried out at concentration C2, will be log K plus n into log C2. Okay, so let us now subtract one from the other. Okay, so let us perform equation 4 minus equation 3. Equation 4 minus equation 3, it will give log of minus dC2 divided by dt minus log of minus dC1 by dt is equal to log k. Okay, if I subtract becomes 0, is equal to n is a common factor into log of C2 minus log of C1, which may be written as, therefore n is equal to log of minus dc2 divided by dt minus log of minus dc1 divided by dt divided by log of c2 divided by c1. This can be written as log of c2 divided by c1. So by using this equation, using this equation 5, we can find out what is the order of the reaction, provided we know these terms in the numerator. What is minus dc2 by dt? It is nothing but the initial rate of the reaction carried out at concentration C2. Similarly, minus dc1 by dt is the initial rate of the reaction carried out at concentration C1. How to find out these values? Again, you can use the graph of concentration versus time. So this is the graph for concentration C1. This is the graph for concentration C2. So find out the initial rate. That is nothing but the initial slope at t is equal to 0. So these values are nothing but minus dc1 by dt. This is minus dc2 by dt. So from this graph of concentration versus time, we can find out the initial rates of the reaction. And what are the initial concentrations? We will be knowing those values because we are the ones who are carrying out the reaction. So we know the values of C1 and C2. So by using this simple equation, we can find out what is the order of the reaction. Okay, so the advantage of this method is that it is lesser laborious compared to your general differential method. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ general differentiation method ಅಲ್ಲಿ order find out ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ you have to plot a graph and at least you require at least 4 or 5 data sets to plot a graph. But in this method, which is a numerical method, okay, you need not require too much data. Okay, you just measure the initial rates of the reaction, and by using this you can easily find out the order of the reaction. So you require only 2 rates and 2 concentrations, whereas in the previous method you require 5 different rates and 5 different concentrations. So the advantage of this method is it is less laborious. The disadvantage of this method is it may be sometimes less accurate compared to the general method. Why? Because more the data you have, more accurate will be your result, and lesser the data, the reliability also becomes less. So this method may be sometimes less accurate compared to your general method, but the advantage is it is less time consuming. So a very simple method, which is a simple modification of the differential method. Okay.